Years ago, back in the 1970s, it was common to hear about people going to a place for a few days or even a week for the purpose of spiritual refreshment or maybe even improvement. They were going to get in touch with themselves or maybe their inner child or possibly even a higher power. They might call this a retreat or a seminar. There might be a Swami present, or more likely, a secular figure, a stylishly garbed, very smooth purveyor of mystic snake oil. But no priests or ministers. People did trust exercises, and they meditated, possibly were trying TM, and contemplating their navels, chanting Om, and they might have walked along a bed of hot coals in their bare feet. Most often, this was being done in California at pricey places like the Esalen Institute. The thinking then was that if we could keep it contained largely in California, the home, after all, of Governor Moonbeam, everything would be okay. Gradually, the tide of this well-intentioned hooey receded. I hadn't heard anything like this mooziness in a long time, but then a few references to mindful practices and mindfulness began popping up. Yesterday I was reading a magazine and there was an article in it about mindful eating. That, for me, is just about the last straw. Can you see people sitting around the dinner table, all of them striving to eat mindfully? It's a frightening thought, and really it's an invasion of domestic tranquility. Of course, you can Google it, mindfulness, I mean. There it says that it means living in the moment, really thinking about whatever it is you're doing, using your mind. So okay, if I'm out walking and I want to cross the street, I can see where it would be a considerable advantage to do it mindfully, and giving it some thought, looking both ways, maybe even using a crosswalk or waiting for the pedestrian light to go on. That would increase my chances of getting to the other side. But I don't know how mindful I want to be when it comes to eating a sandwich. A bowl of soup might be a different story. As for the living in the moment part, do we really have some other choice? I have never been able, not once in my entire life, to get out of the moment. You might say I've been stuck in the moment all my life, and I expect that will continue until death plucks me out. As far as the spiritual aspect of mindfulness goes, most sources say it either comes from or closely resembles Buddhism. That's a good thing, because in this culture, while we don't know a whole lot about Buddhism, we have an almost built-in respect for it, which is not the case, say, for the Muslim religion. Right now, because of the way things are in this unstable world, we are wary of the Muslim religion. I see where the new mayor of London is a Muslim, and he is wary of us. We are wary of Muslims because we think some of them, the more radical ones, want to kill us, to blow us up, or to decapitate us on a video, obtaining a great spiritual reward if they should perish in doing so. Buddhism, or what little we know of it, is nothing like that. I heard a character on TV say, "I'm a Buddhist, I don't judge anyone." And we all know the Buddha. He's a fat, bald guy sitting under a tree. Wouldn't harm a soul. He looks like he's made a steady diet of those all-you-can-eat buffets, or he's a guy who likes his beer. Since nearly all of our nation is obese and likes to drink beer, it's easy to see why we would have friendly feelings for the Buddha and his religion, whatever it may be. So if mindfulness is connected to Buddhism, we will tend to think kindly of mindfulness. Hey, we don't judge, right? I think that's all a bunch of crap, or what could be called New Age crap. Mencken would have called it bunkum. How he would have laughed at all the poor boobs going around doing their best to be mindful. Not surprisingly, I'm more in favor of the exact opposite, which would be mindlessness. That's the state the Buddha achieves after about 2 six-packs on a hot summer's day, which is why he's sitting in the shade of that tree wearing nothing but a tiny robe. We are most alive, I would say, when we are doing things mindlessly. If we have to think about what we're doing, we're going to screw things up. We want to have a clear and empty head and go about our business without a care or a thought in the world. Thinking can be a very stressful operation, and most of the time we think ourselves straight into trouble, or I do anyway. So if you want to be mindful, go ahead. For myself, if I can, I'm going to do things mindlessly, especially eating dinner.